Hello, folks. Welcome back to the world of TV shows. And today we're going to be reviewing the second episode of the first season of Cold Case called Gleen. The episode originally aired on October 5th, 2003 on CBS. It was directed by Paris Barkley and written by Meredith Stein and Jan Oxenberg. In this episode, the murder case is going to be about a 1980s murder case where basically a bomb went off in a housewife's backyard, killing her. Now, the daughter at the time, who was 5 years old, who is 25 in this episode, basically has issued a lot of death threats to the man they thought was originally responsible for her murder, named Albert Miller, who's about to be granted parole and set free. So, at that prospect, the stepmother of that woman decides to go to the Philly PD detectives and let them in on that, specific case. So Lily is going to decide to reinvestigate, and she would also like, the daughter, who's named Gwen, to stop threatening this individual so that it would be easier for them to work this case, right? And successfully solve it, right? So this is basically how the main plot of the episode is. And they're going to be going back and interrogating, potential suspects. And the husband of the woman who was killed in that, as that bomb went off, is actually a fireman. So they're going to be looking at that potential angle as well by going to the fire department and ask, people who worked there, namely one of the friends. And they're going to be looking at a lot of different angles, and, there are going to be a lot of suspects to, there are going to be many potential suspects that might have had something to do with the woman's murder. Is that a jealousy angle? Is that something else? All those questions are going to be there as one goes through the episode. Yeah, there's a lot of there are many possibilities, right? So yes, they're going to be also, going to speak to Albert Miller in jail, in prison. And obviously he's kind of a lewd person, he's a little, not very great. But could he have done this, or is there another possibility that somebody else might have done something and he took the blame for it? Yeah, many different questions are going to be, on our minds as viewers as we watch the episode. But yeah, this episode was pretty good in my opinion, and it's the second episode of the show. And again, we're going to have, Lily and the other detectives, especially Chris Lassing, where they're going to go together, do some field work, and ask the different, suspects together, going to the house, to the husbands, and then, the friend, and so many different they also going to find out a lot of things concerning the husband. And obviously, there are many secrets that are going to be coming to light as the investigation plays out. But this episode was a pretty good episode in my opinion. Maybe not as great as the first episode. I thought that this episode was a little, good to a certain extent, with the whole plot as to who killed the woman, right? Who could have done it. But yet at the same time, I thought that the character of Gwen Deemer, who's played by Jamie Ann Ullman, was a little annoying to me, especially since she was always kind of moaning and complaining, and not very appreciative of the fact that Lily decided to reinvestigate this murder case from 1983, 20 years prior to that. And she didn't really have to do so, but it seems that Jamie Ann Ullman, is not very, nice about it. She's basically, I mean, the character of Gwen Deemer, obviously, the actress did a pretty good job, but this is how the character is supposed to be, I guess, a little bit, annoying, a little mean, but I didn't really, yeah, this is the thing that many people didn't like about this episode is the character of Gwen kind of was a little bit irritating, to say the least. I didn't really enjoy her character that much. I thought she was pretty annoying, to be honest with you. But then, given the fact that she witnessed something pretty traumatic as she was just a young girl, a toddler is kind of, you know, understandable. It puts things into perspective. And yes, this is a pretty sad case considering the fact that a young girl just lost her mother. It's pretty traumatic too. It's a pretty sadder episode compared to the rest of the series. Then we have Brett Cullen, who plays Rob Deemer, the husband, in 2003. Sarah Erickton plays Dana Deemer, the stepmother, the new wife. Then we have Delane Matthews, who plays Lorraine Loomis. Doug Spinoza, who plays Louis Amanti, which I thought is a really great character. This is the time when we're introduced to Louis, the first episode we're introduced to him. Then we have Maria Sanchez, who plays Julia Vera, who I believe was the neighbor, who heard the bomb go off and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, there are so many different characters and actors, but this episode was pretty good, and also Albert Miller, who plays, yes, M.F. Bernier plays Albert Miller. Albert Miller was a little, not my favorite character either. He was kind of, like I said, he was lewd. He was arrested for, indecent exposure. That's how he got, he was the prime suspect. But then as the episode goes on, it turns out that maybe he is not, the only one who could have had a motive for murder, right? There are other ways to look, other potential, suspects and so on and so forth. Keep repeating myself, don't I? I apologize for that. But I thought that this episode was a pretty nice one with a good resolution. And it's a little sad near the end, but again, I really like the music, that plays as you go through the episode, especially at the ending, as the episode ends. Usually you have some theme that is played and the character, the criminal, the guilty person is basically taken in cuffs, and you have obviously something happens in this episode in regards to that, and you usually have the victim, and you get to see them, it's like it offers, the closure that we're talking about, some, closure, obviously, as the character is arrested, right? So, yeah, this is basically how it goes, and I really enjoyed this episode, even though it wasn't as great as the first episode. I thought it was pretty nice as well. Maybe, yeah, like I said, Gwen and Albert Miller are characters I didn't really, really, really enjoy. But at the same time, some characters you like, some you don't so much. So I don't really mind this. But yeah, it's a pretty good episode for what it was. So if I were to rate this episode on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It was a good episode. It's not my favorite in the show, in the season, rather. It has a little bit of some, obviously the character of Gwen, like I said, takes a little bit, takes some points away from the rating. But apart from that, I did enjoy it for what it was. I liked the resolution, the potential secrets, the bunch of different angles that could have featured. So, yeah. That could have, that could point to some place, But yeah, this episode, I would give a 7 out of 10. It's a good episode for what it was. 7 out of 10 for me. What about you folks? What did you think about this episode? Gleen, did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, by the way, the title of the episode, Gleen, is about a specific thing that happens in the episode, but I don't want to spoil it, so I won't tell you what it is. But it is some kind of a clue, if you will. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. Pretty good episode. What about you folks? What did you think about this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below. We'd really like to hear about your thoughts and views on this episode. In the meantime, folks, stay safe, goodbye, and take care. Peace out. This is the World of TV Shows for You signing off.